Welcome, Ramley. How are my Super Bowl champions doing? The 2022 draft is upon us. Let's get right into it. Now, as a current day Rams fan, I know we no longer get excited for the NFL draft. We are constantly selecting late, and we haven't picked in the first round since drafting Jared Goff way back in 2016. That's 6 years without a first round pick. Stay tuned because I'm gonna explain later on in this video why you still should be really excited for this year's draft. But first, let's go over our draft order. We gave up our first round pick this year to the Lions to acquire Matthew Stafford. We then gave up this year's second and third round picks to the Broncos to acquire Von Miller. It really sucks that we gave up a second and a third rounder for just 12 games of Von Miller, but it was obviously totally worth it, and I can't wait to give up next year's second and third round picks for another big talent. That's obviously a joke. Well, kinda. I'm not against doing it again. Now, because this front office is so good at playing the compensatory pick game, we still have plenty of draft capital. We gave away our first 3 draft picks, and yet we still have 8 selections this year due to receiving 5 compensatory picks. We have a draft pick in rounds 3, round 4, round 5. We have 3 picks in the 6th round and 2 picks in the 7th. Now, over the last few years, the Rams have shown us that they don't draft based on this team's need, but more so based on what they feel is the best available player. The Rams didn't need a wide receiver last season when they drafted Tutu Atwell in the 2nd round, and it was a bit of a shock when they drafted Cam Akers and Van Jefferson in the 2nd round back in 2020. And since Sean McVay has taken over in 2017, the Rams have definitely favored the offensive side of the ball earlier on in these drafts. The first 2 selections of the Rams in the last 5 drafts have been on the offensive side of the ball 8 out of 10 times. Only Taylor Rapp and Ernest Jones have been taken with the Rams' first 2 picks since McVay has been our head coach. I can definitely see that trend continue here. As we stand here today, the Rams have some glaring needs on this roster, but with several big name free agents still available, I do expect some of those needs to be addressed before we get to the NFL draft. But as of right now, I see 4 major holes on this team. After losing Von Miller and Ogbo Okoronkwo, this team has no depth at that position. The Rams may already have their starter in Justin Hollins or Terrell Lewis. I'm personally not excited about either one of these guys replacing Von Miller, but they are capable of starting. I definitely expect an edge rusher or 2 to be drafted by LA this year. Also, the Rams currently have Jalen Ramsey, Robert Rochelle, and David Long Jr. as the team's top cornerbacks. Jalen Ramsey is Jalen Ramsey, but the other 2 are not ready to be starters on a Super Bowl contending team. I definitely expect the Rams to add to this position. On offense, while I do believe the Rams have their current starting offensive line on the roster already, with Coleman Shelton possibly starting at right guard, there's currently no depth on the offensive line. One of the best things about this front office is its ability to find and groom offensive line talent. When Roger Stafford left, we plugged in Austin Blythe and we didn't miss a beat. When Blythe left, we plugged in Austin Corbett and got better. When Andrew Whitworth missed several weeks, we plugged in Noteboom and no one noticed Whitworth was gone. And when Brian Allen missed time, Coleman Shelton stepped in and played better than Brian Allen did in the little time we needed him to. We lose linemen and we seem to always look internally for a replacement. That just goes to show you how good this coaching staff is at finding and grooming offensive line talent. I think the starting offensive line is set, but I do expect the Rams to add depth here to continue to groom offensive linemen for when it's needed. This is the most important position outside of the quarterback, and with the addition of Allen Robinson, I can definitely see this offense being a pass-first offense. And knowing the way Sean McVay and Les Snead has drafted in the past, the O-line could be this team's top priority. Now let's get into some great draft picks, some sleepers, and some diamonds in the rough that I think would fit well here in LA. Let's start with guard Cole Strange from Tennessee Chattanooga. He shines over the first 2 phases of the block, which means he gains early positioning and gets into the sustained phase with proper hand usage and footwork. I know this is really nerdy football terminology, I know, but stay with me. He has great lateral quickness and he understands angles. He's definitely intelligent and tough. He has excellent pad level off the snap and made for a zone scheme. Now, he does have a lean body type for an NFL guard. His frame and play strength are a little below average, but I think strength and body mass is something that can be improved upon. I think the Rams would have to take Strange with their first pick in the 3rd round if they like him, because he's not going to be around much longer after that. He would be a great backup interior lineman that could sit and develop into a starter over a few years. and potentially be plugged into the starting lineup if an injury occurs. I also like guard Dylan Parham from Memphis. He has a sound technique and above average body control into and through contact. He's very experienced as he's a 4-year starter who can play either guard spot. He's a clear processor who's able to adjust assignments on the go, and he's aware of his second level target and the path to get him. He's a very smart lineman. He is on the smaller side compared to most NFL guards. Yet one NFL scout was quoted saying, "He's small, but he has a really proportional big bone frame, so that I'm not really worried about how he's going to match up against guys in the league. He's smart and knows how to play." I think Dylan Parham is definitely in play for the Rams in the 3rd round. Now let's talk about cornerback Marcus Jones from Houston. At 5'8", Jones doesn't have elite size, but he's dominant as both an outside and a slot cornerback. Jones is probably a slot corner in the NFL, as he has the quickness and toughness to play that position. He has the hips and the feet to cover slot receivers and ball hawking instincts to make plays from zone, which the Rams love to play a lot of zone. Now he could be a little too reliant on his athletic ability. He needs to play with better discipline and route anticipation as a pro, but that could be developed with good coaching. What's most exciting about Jones is his ability as a returner. Jones scored 9 touchdowns on special teams during his college career, both as a kick and a punt returner. For his career, he averaged 14 yards per punt and 28.4 yards per kick return. Both of those rank inside the top 25 all-time in college football history. This is one of the most dangerous return men in the NFL in the last decade, and he should be a weapon right away on special teams. I know we currently have Brandon Powell, who played phenomenal for us last year, but if we have the opportunity to select Marcus Jones, I don't think Brandon Powell should be the reason why we pass up on him, especially if the Rams feel that Marcus Jones can help on the defensive side of the ball, playing the cornerback position and in the return game. I'm very interested to see when and where Marcus Jones ends up. I also like cornerback Coby Bryant from Cincinnati. At 6'1", 139 pounds, Bryant has a good size and can be a real-time route reader. With above average ball skills, zone coverage schemes should play directly into his strengths and allow him to be a cornerback 2 or 3. He will need help against NFL deep speed. While running a 4.54, Bryant isn't as fast as we would like him to be. But maybe he will play faster than his 40 suggests. Look for Coby Bryant to be available sometime in the 4th round. And I hate to be corny, but who wouldn't love somebody named Coby Bryant playing for these LA Rams? I also like edge rusher D'Angelo Malone from Western Kentucky. Malone is an incredible player. He totaled 59 tackles for a loss and 32.5 sacks during his collegiate career. He's been a dominant pass rusher for years, and that carried over to the Senior Bowl. The only issue is that Malone weighs roughly 240 pounds, which is very light for an edge rusher. If he can bulk up some and prove that he can hold his own against the run, he should be an NFL starter in no time. Now, oddly enough, I don't know why, but this might be my favorite prospect in this draft. With the Rams getting rid of longtime legendary punter Johnny Hekker, there's a glaring hole that needs to be filled. And I like punter Matt Araiza from San Diego State. Nicknamed the Punt God, Araiza possesses elite power and field flipping ability that can make him the highest drafted punter since Todd Seaborn went 56 overall in 1995. Araiza has elite field flipping talent with unmatched power. He had 18 punts of 60 plus yards in 2021, including 2 over 80 yards or more. Could you imagine 80 yards or more? He did it twice last year. He has an incredible net average of nearly 50 yards on open field punts, which led the NCAA with a minimum of 10 attempts. His punting style creates a forward bounce if it's not caught. He hit 62 of 73 kickoffs for touchbacks over the course of the entire 2021 season. Now, he does have less regard for hang time and coverage considerations than NFL special teams coaches will. So he may be asked to dial back on the long ball mentality, but that will come with solid NFL coaching. I don't expect the Rams to take a punter in the 3rd round, but I'd expect them to definitely pull the trigger if he's still around in the 5th or 6th. Now, I think there's good reason to still get excited for this year's draft, even though we won't be selecting anyone until pick 104. This front office has showed time and time again the ability to find key starters deep in the draft. Just last year, the Rams drafted starter Ernest Jones in the 3rd round at pick 103. In 2020, the Rams selected safety Jordan Fuller in the 7th round. In 2019, they selected Darrell Henderson in the 3rd, Greg Gaines in the 4th, and safety Nick Scott in the 7th. In 2018, they selected Joe Noteboom in the 3rd round, Brian Allen in the 4th, Sebastian Joseph Day in the 6th, and Travon Howard in the 7th. Now I can continue, but I think you get the picture here. Les Snead and company have found starters and key contributors in every round of the NFL draft, so don't let getting rid of our first 3 picks discourage you from paying attention to this year's draft. We could be selecting the next big thing. If you haven't already, subscribe, and most importantly, hit the bell notification button so you always get alerted every time I upload a new video. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and click right here for more Rams content.